For centuries, beginning in the late 1400s, slave traders in what is now Angola took part in transatlantic human trafficking. Historians say the Portuguese took much of the historical records when they left Angola after its independence in 1975. At the National Archive in Luanda, Januário Silva displayed manuscripts left behind that are at least 300 years old.
The name of the slave, gender, place of birth or origin, age, identifying marks, occupation. And at the end are notes where we can see the date of capture or other relevant information.
The ledgers also contain letters and other correspondence.
This one tells us about a situation involving slaves who have run away with the help or participation of some traditional authorities.
While some tribal chiefs profited from supplying captives to the European slavers, other leaders tried to protect their people. One was Njingamband, queen of the Ndongo and Matamba kingdoms in the 17th century. A warrior and diplomat, she fended off the Portuguese and Dutch throughout her 40-year reign.
She was the greatest protector of Angolan sovereignty, and it was 40 years of fighting for a woman in the 17th century, and she didn't get killed. She would hide in these floating islands of the Kwanza River, so they could never tell where she was. She always resisted, and she always won.
But ultimately, the Portuguese slave traders prevailed. They already had taken control of parts of the region since 1482. In 1617, they founded the port city of Benguela. There, this building, which is now Angola's National Archaeology Museum, was once a way station for thousands of human captives, says historian and archaeologist Paula Russa.
This was a warehouse. They waited here for the slave ships coming from Europe and the Americas to take them away.
The history is painful. Like many others in Benguela, Russa is descendant from slaves.
My mom is dead. I was raised in an orphanage, but my great-aunts told me, look, your great-grandmother was sent to Recife in Brazil.
Of the nearly 11 million enslaved people shipped from Africa to the Americas, almost 6 million came from what is now Angola. Fewer than 400,000 were sent to the 13 American colonies before 1776. Historians say a tiny fraction came from Benguela.
We had many American tourists on the cruise ships that used to dock here, and they wanted to come to this specific place because they said their ancestors left from here.
Centuries of colonization and slavery scarred Angola, as did recent decades of civil war. Today, the country has the third largest economy in sub-Saharan Africa, but at least a third of its 30 million people live in poverty. Hearst says Angola's female vendors, known as Zungueira, are Angola's everyday Queen Jingas.
She's a resistor. You see the Zungueira in action every day. She leaves the house, buys goods from farm women, and sells those goods on the street. She goes back home and pays her kids' tuition, pays the rent, pays for food.
Like Njinga, the Zungueira are standing strong for Angola. Mayra de la Salette with Betty Ayub for VOA News, Angola.